If you enjoy our work, consider making a donation to mixtapestories.net or at Patreon/mixtapestories, all one word. Thank you. Mixtape Stories, creating beautiful fiction in a disappointing timeline.
Fire in the hole! Hudson called out, which was followed by a series of explosions that demolished the low-rise apartment complex. I was crouched against the landing struts of a hopper. The bay doors were open. The radio, tuned to a station at Camp Toronto, was playing Alice in Chains. Across from me was the body of the Jankali girl with the purple eyes I had just killed. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old. She was a child wearing pajamas, a child in a suicide vest that was meant for us. Her blank eyes stared back at me. The plume of dust from the now fallen structure wafted by. The stench of burning plastic, brimstone, blood, shit, everything embedded in my nostrils. Sergeant Mackenzie walked over to me and knelt down.
You did good, College. You did exactly what you were trained to do.
I didn't take my eyes off her. I just stared into her dead purple eyes. I killed her. Not just the kid, but her commander, too.
Her commander was her own mother. Goes to show how easily the Sortakians brainwash these poor fucking crocs to become nihilist shit stains.
I looked over. The residents of Beauchene are now being marched into hoppers. Maybe some of the family I fragged was part of the insurrection. Maybe they were all in on it. Or maybe none of them were. It didn't matter. Their homes were demolished alongside the insurrectionist family cell. I turned back to face the dead Jankali girl. So, this is what I become, eh? I thought we were here to help these people.
We're here to embrace what we are.
Are you kidding? You're quoting the Corps' motto to me? What the fuck does that even mean? Embrace what we are. What, embrace becoming a baby killer? Mackenzie then grabbed my jaw and locked on to me.
You're a smart kid, College. But you really need to grow the fuck up and realize something. What do you think we humans have to offer the United Grey Consortium? Our technology? Our enlightened philosophy? Our best thinking led us to the brink. Face facts, son. We excel at one thing. This.
He said, pointing towards the carnage.
This is what we do best. This is how we serve the consortium.
A smile suddenly broke through on his weathered face.
When you first arrived, the others said you were too soft. But I knew that somewhere there was something in you screaming to break free. I saw the look in your eyes when you found the croc who sent this child to her doom. I saw the look. And it was at that moment you embraced what you are.
Terrified locals were being carted off. Warriors of the maple leaves of death casually following their orders, pushing away the Jankali's trauma as they bobbed their heads to Alice in Chains. I awoke to ants chirping in the trees. The light was intense. Above, the sun giblet was halfway eaten. I looked down and saw a bio patch attached to my forearm. I had that same damn dream. The memory of that girl. Someone was humming, and I could smell coffee. I swore I could smell coffee. The last time I smelled that was when Mackenzie scored a... Oh, shit. Mackenzie! I jolted up and immediately slumped over.
Easy, Mr. Sandy. Just try to relax.
Dr. Larbra was sitting across from me, making a pot of coffee. I looked around. We were inside a tent. The roof flaps were open to the outside. On her forearm, she wore an identical bio patch. It took me a few seconds to realize what that meant. Dr. Larbra linked up mine and network to hers. She must have seen that look in my eyes, seen where I was going, and rushed over, preventing me from ripping mine off.
The link-up's the only reason that you're still alive. Sorry that I didn't get your consent beforehand, but you were in the middle of dying.
I wanted to protest, but I passed out. When I awoke again, I found her sitting next to me, changing the dressing around my ribs. I felt the breeze on my skin, which I hadn't felt in weeks, having been living in that mech suit the entire time. Dr. Larbra noticed me rousing and handed me a water pack from my mech suit.
You hungry? There's some paste in the tubes.
I shook my head. Even that hurt.
Well, let me know when you get an appetite and I'll cook you something up approaching edible, even though it's derived from your own shit.
I gave her a quizzical look. Dr. Larbra just spoke perfect English to me. So, you speak English?
I know a couple of phrases. Yes, no, hands up. But no, Mr. Sandy, I don't know English. I'm not speaking English. I'm speaking Gaulish. My provincial dialect, in fact.
That confused me because she was speaking perfect English. But then as she asked if I wanted some leftover coffee, I could hear her actual voice speaking Gaulish, a Gaulish I had no trouble understanding. My network was translating her words into English. You hacked into my network, didn't you?
It was the only way to save you.
I remember now. The bio patch on our arms. Hacking into a network in a lockdown mode was nearly impossible. What's more, she had the suppressor collar on. It was still on her neck. Even with bio patches, hacking into one would take it would take someone like Dr. Larbra. I furrowed my brows. So, did the suppressor collar ever even work?
Not really.
I don't get it. If it never worked, and you could have pinged your friends the entire time, well, you could have been the one to send a call. I was about to charge that she might have put a beat on our hopper or over at the firebase like Mackenzie believed. But every single action of hers told me that she didn't want to reunite with them. You didn't use your network to call your friends, did you? And then, at Kensington, you warned us about the UMCO soldiers heading our way. Dr. Larbra didn't say anything. You were running away from them, weren't you? It all made sense. When I found Dr. Larbra, she was hiding in Chateau Estates, a relatively consortium-friendly village, and she was completely on her own. A top scientist for the insurrectionists should be surrounded by an army, but instead, She was hiding alone in a dumpster in what could be considered enemy territory. Were you about to defect? Dr. Larbra stopped changing my dressing.
I'm not a traitor, Mr. Sandy. I would never betray my own people.
Well, you weren't exactly gunning for a reunion with your friends either, now were you? My network pinged that Dr. Larbra's strength was beginning to be overtaxed by stabilizing me. Biopatches were kind of like those Vulcan mind melds Mr. Spock used to do on that TV show I watched when I was a kid while sitting in the chemo rooms. Dr. Larbra was using her own strength through her network to boost my healing. I looked down at my forearm with the biopatch. Well, I suppose you're not trying to save me just so you can give me the emo.
No, I'm not going to give you the emo. I don't want to hurt you. I didn't want to hurt anybody. I'm divorced.
Yeah, I know. You're a pacifist, I air quoted. Some pacifist. You sent tens of thousands of warriors to the psych wards.
And what choice did I have? Your people invaded us. We weren't out to conquer the galaxy. We weren't bothering you. All we wanted was to be left alone.
We were told that the Jankali were once loyal third-tier stakeholders of the United Grey Consortium until the devious cephalopodic Sortakian order spread their nihilistic ideology, brainwashing the Jankali leaders to secede from the consortium. That's what we were told, anyway. I had come to understand that the truth was a little more complicated. The Jankali had been stalled in third-tier stakeholder status for over 500 years. When their latest petition for a status upgrade was denied over a century ago, the Jankali voted to exit the consortium. The Greys, of course, sent their defense forces to enact subsidiary compliance, but they were met by the Sortakian order, whose ships and soldiers outclassed the consortium. And for the last century, the Jankali was officially a neutral nation, protected by the Sortakians, prospering under their protection. That was until 5 years ago, when the Grey Defense Forces introduced the Human Corps volunteers. The GDF Stellar Command fleet might be shit compared to the Sortakian counterparts in space, but the Greys could drop a bunch of us humans on Norbis and let us do what we do best. The Human Corps retook the planet in a matter of weeks. The Sortakians, for their part, scurried off-planet with their tentacles between their legs. Larbra sighed.
I was a devout pacifist, but your warriors were murdering my people. So I invented the net virus, the emo as you call it. It caused harm to be certain. It is a transgression to my faith, but the emo does not kill. Those who are infected will recover.
She stood up. Her gray, scaly skin seemed a bit more pale, her lobes weary.
I thought my job was done, but then you people lacked your networks and escalated the violence with reprisal killings. Amco wanted something that would put the fear of existentiality into everyone in the consortium. They wanted a lethal virus this time, one that would break through your lockdowns, spread throughout the consortium. Not just the humans, but everyone. And
Dr. Larbra's lips trembled.
For weeks, I retooled the emo to hack through your locked-in networks. But instead of killing, I designed it to tap into the pleasure centers where violence would be the last thing you people would ever want to do. Give massages, yes. Screw, certainly. But not to kill. You'd be all on the verge of orgasm. not death.
A pleasure virus. Reading her thoughts as I now was able to do, thanks to the biopatch, I could see that she would rather us humans rolling in ecstasy, unable to fight, rather than writhing.
I developed a prototype in my network, at least the coding to hack through your lockdowns. I explained the concept to General Plabith. He always was very reasonable. Surely you could see the benefit of infecting humans with something that would turn you people from monsters into a state of blissful passivity. After all, unleashing a deadly bioweapon would only further escalate reprisals. But Plabith disagreed and ordered me to recode it to kill everyone installed with the consortium network. Make it so your network would cause a stroke. I didn't know what to do. Even if I refused, the general would take my research and use someone else to build his weapon. So, I destroyed everything. I burned down the labs, erased all the research. But there was one vestige of the research that could be re-engineered to make the bioweapon he wanted.
You're the last vestige.
If the Resistance caught me, dead or alive, they could use my network and launch something horrible. I needed to leave, to disappear completely. If I melted into the general population, I would no longer be a threat to anyone. I was on my way to O'Rourke and stopped in the village of Chateau Estates along the way. I was recording my network DNA emitter to forge another identity when you found me hiding in the trash bin.
Her lobes crinkled. The ants chirped up in the trees. The branches, visible with the tense flaps open, waved lazily in the heavy gravity. The dual suns were setting. God damn it. I screwed Dr. Larbra royally by discovering her as I did, but she didn't appear to resent me for it. Okay, look, okay. As soon as we make it back to Camp Toronto, the consortium can protect you. Dr. Larbra sneezed bitterly.
The Greys? Those anal probers would love nothing more than to use me to finish what has started, with or without my complicity, and turn it onto the Jinkale.
Oh, come on, they're not that bad. They wouldn't use a deadly Nanette virus. That would be committing genocide.
Do you really think that that's something they would never do?
She was right. Okay, so you're some potential doomsday bioweapon. What are we going to do? Dr. Larbra reached for my helmet.
First, I've got to get you back to your people. I have your headset in your antenna. I get you up to the top of Mount Erhep, where you'll be able to get a signal to your friends at Camp Toronto. And I'll disappear. When your friends show up, you can tell them that I escaped during the melee over at the fire base. Or even better, that I stepped on a landmine and was evaporated. And I'll melt into the general population with my recorded DNA identity. And never let this virus get out ever.
Dr. Larbra's thoughts were as clear as my own. She wanted out, and I owed her my life. That left one question. Why are you doing this? Trying to help me get back to my people. She gave me a wan smile with her large purple eyes, giving me a look which, despite being some cross between Bigfoot and a crocodile, almost reminded me of my mom.
Because you're in my care.
For a brief moment, I was no longer pretending to be the warrior that I forced myself to be. I was me, whoever that was now.
Now get some rest, Mr. Sandy. We have a big hike tomorrow.
I saw myself inside a Jankali home and was arguing in the local Gaulish dialect, which I understood perfectly, with my son, a middle-aged Jankali male.
You completely pervert the meaning of pacifism, son.
I yelled. I was Jankali, a female.
Divorce is not obedience to injustice. It is a direct call for action.
The male Jankali, who I knew to be my son, sneered at me.
By joining the insurrection, do you have any idea how many people they've killed? I'm not just talking about the skinnies. I'm talking about how many Jankali have been killed. The Sartakians surrendered their ground forces. The Norbis government did as well. The war's over. Don't you see that?
I looked at him, Larbra's son, and felt a rage brimming inside me.
What I see is a coward who hides behind the words of Divasi to justify his collaboration.
You're the one who has broken faith, not me.
Just then, Vrithas, my granddaughter, stormed up to him.
If anyone has broken faith, it's you, Father. You've informed on our neighbors. You're worse than an apostate. You're a collaborator.
They're in charge, and I do what I do to protect our home, our family, to protect you.
I don't need your protection.
Oh, you certainly do. You think your protest activities on campus have gone unnoticed? Who do you think kept you out of jail when the rest of your anarchist friends got nabbed?
Vrithas' eyes widened in shock, suddenly realizing that her own father had sold out her fellow compatriots to the occupiers. Her lobes creased back.
I'm ashamed to be called your daughter.
The three of us stood in silence, the weight of the words echoing when he opened the door.
It appears I've lost a mother and a daughter.
I put my hand on my granddaughter's shoulder.
Come along, Vithres. We're no longer wanted here.
I awoke in the night and immediately felt for my face, making sure that I was still me, still Sandip Dhaliwal, still a human. In the darkness, sleeping right next to me was Dr. Larbra. I had trouble falling back to sleep. The following morning, we packed a tent and I gingerly squeezed myself back into my odoriferous and barely functional mech suit. The microhydraulics still worked to offset the additional gravity, but the ablative armor was shot. Dr. Larbra removed the biopatches once my network reported that I was at 92%. I still felt sore, and there were scars all over my torso, but it was downright miraculous that I went from critical condition to hiking capable in a matter of days. Dr. Larbra downed the rest of the coffee that she liberated from Fort Kensington, licking every last drop, like she was Mad Max sopping up the remnants of any gasoline. The Jankali might hate our occupation, but they loved our coffee. So too did everyone in the consortium, which explains why the Greys geared the Terran stakeholder economy towards coffee production and export. As we cleared out the campsite, I chose not to mention my inadvertent insight into her dream. Like my own, her dream was reduced to a memory. Maybe my condition forced her subconscious to do the same. We plodded slowly up Mount Aherb. As we ascended, the jungle gave way to forest with evergreen-like trees. The dual sun's light was more intense, but the air was drier and cooler. Only a sliver of giblet remained for Varrock to eat as the day wore on. Dr. Larbra was unusually quiet. Maybe it was the physical exertion, or maybe it was the fallout from the memory of last night's dream. Maybe she wanted to talk about it. Maybe I needed to talk about it. That young lady, that was your granddaughter, Vrithis, right? Dr. Larbra gave a curt nod. I tried to fill the awkward silence. So, that interaction with your son, that's when she joined you to go off with the offspring of Amko.
That's correct.
She's a poetician major, right? I mean, the only viable service she could provide in the resistance would be as a fighter. Dr. Larbra grunted. It was a touchy subject. Joining the armed rebellion as a fighter was a direct betrayal of their Devoisi beliefs. Virtually all fighters in Amko were either Chantlish, the minor religion that had a more liberal view about pacifism, or they were among those who disavowed the core tenets of Devoisi, and thereby becoming Khatban, lost souls. It was surprising how many Jankali volunteered to become lost souls. Hey, look, I said. Your granddaughter's not some lost soul because she decided to fight for what she believes in. I mean, if anything, I think that says a lot about her spirit. I just stunned myself. I was defending an insurrectionist.
I appreciate you trying to cheer me up, but she was a lost soul, and it's because of me. She followed me into this because she was so committed. She gave up her studies. She volunteered to become a lost soul, and...
Her voice trailed off. We stood at a switchback. Dr. Larbra removed my bio patch this morning, but I could feel the sorrow building up in her. Vrithis became a lost soul, just as I became a baby killer. It was a lovely fucking war.
Best we keep moving.
It was late in the afternoon when we reached the bluff near the top of Mount Erhef. Out in the distance, I could see Camp Toronto and the neighboring town of Geldorn. I dropped the backpack and fitted the antenna onto my headset. Low in the sky was Varrock. Giblet had been fully eaten by now. I clicked the headset. Toronto! Toronto! This is Specialist Sandip Dhaliwal, 22nd Canadian Battalion. Do you copy? I waited for a reply, but didn't hear anything. Dr. Larbra sidled up next to me.
Try again.
Toronto, this is Specialist Sandip Dhaliwal, 22nd Canadian Battalion, out of Kensington. Do you read me? There were several long seconds, and I was about to lose faith when suddenly the radio crackled to life.
Specialist Dhaliwal, this is Toronto Command.
It worked! Oh, thank God! I'd never thought I'd be so happy to hear another human voice.
How many field goals did the Oilers score against Dallas in last year's playoffs?
It was a trick question. Last time I checked, they didn't call them field goals. And besides, I was too busy getting baked at a Fish concert.
Roger that, Dhaliwal. We registered you among the missing. Where in the hell are you?
I'll send you my location now. I proceeded to give my coordinates.
Copy your location. How many are you?
I looked at Dr. Larbra and clicked onto my headset. Just myself.
Roger. We've got a hopper assigned for immediate dust-off ETA 20 mites. Over.
Copy, 20 minutes. I turned to Dr. Larbra, who lifted her backpack, preparing to make herself scarce before the hopper arrived. I extended my hand. Thank you for getting me here. She took my hand and we shook. Her scaly hands were massive to my own.
Of course. I had to make sure you'd make it back safely.
Why? Why did you risk yourself for me?
I know when you look at me, you think of that girl you killed. The one with the purple eyes. I shared your dreams as you shared mine. And you blame yourself. You call yourself a baby killer. And you try to force yourself into that suit, both physically and metaphorically. But it's not you. You are not the killer, Mr. Sandy. Neither was my granddaughter.
Was. She referred to Vrithras in the past tense.
You are not destined for violence by your race, and you are not bound to the Greys, or to me, or to anyone. You have your whole life ahead of you.
Dr. Larbra clasped her other hand over mine, her purple eyes welling up in tears. Giancarlo cried just like humans.
Come home alive, get your degree, and do what you love, and truly live. Embrace what you truly are.
I saw my mother in her, and I felt as though the girl, Dr. Larbra, my mom, and me, we all shared something. Dr. Larbra moved over to hug me, when suddenly she dropped to the ground. I looked down and saw blood leaking from her abdomen. I scrambled down and a series of mortars started landing all around us. The explosions weren't close enough to harm us, but they were close, meant to hem us in. I frantically reached for a medkit as another shot from the trees hit the backpack I was reaching for. My visor caught Giancarlo's signs. The shelling stopped, and I scanned the area. They were just behind the tree line.
Give us Dr. Larbra, Skinny, and we'll let you go.
The voice barked in English. Shit. Just as my headset was strong enough to reach Camp Toronto, it was also broadcasting on an open frequency for anyone with a radio nearby to catch. They must have been close enough to hone in on it. I crawled over to Dr. Larbra.
I can't move my legs.
I pressed on her abdomen, trying to stop the bleeding.
Unlock your network.
I knitted my brows, confused.
When I linked our networks, you got my upgrades. Unlock your network and get them to stop attacking.
You've got 5 seconds, Skinny, or we send you to your horse god.
A lot of Giancarlo believed humans worshipped horses based on the Human Corps insignia showing dual images of a person rearing on a horse with the globe of Earth at the center. Seeing no other choice, I unlocked my network, and I suddenly had a clear display of exactly where each of the insurrectionists were. My visor took in the data and gave me firing solutions, but that wasn't a good option. I might be able to take out a few of them before they capped me. There was one other option. I used my upgrade and reached into each of the networks of the insurrectionists. I could feel their data, their biorhythms, their pulses. With a simple command of my thoughts, I constricted their bronchial tubes, initiating an asthma attack. I could see them struggling in my visor and register their distress in my network's readings. Within several seconds, they began to lose consciousness. Within a minute, they were all passed out. I could kill them. I could keep their airflow restricted. I was in complete control of their networks, and I could keep suffocating them. I could do whatever I wanted. But I looked over to Dr. Larbra, and instead, I instructed their networks to flood their systems with enough anesthesia to keep them out for a while. I jumped back over to Dr. Larbra and tried to use my network to assist her in healing her injuries. But it was going to take a lot of surgery at this point. The round struck her vertebrae. "It's okay, Dr. Larbra. We'll get you to surgery, and they can heal your spine. You'll be walking in no time."
And then what?
She pulled me close.
Mr. Sandy, you cannot let them take me. You can't.
"But if I leave you here..." And then I realized what she meant. I pulled back.
I can't kill Mr. Sandy. Not even myself.
Dr. Larbra needed me. She needed me to do exactly what she said I was not born to do. I took her hands into mine and kissed her on her forehead.
Live well, my friend.
I pushed her in a network to anesthetize her, and she fell unconscious. I continued delivering the drug, feeling her pulse and her heart slowing, and then it was still. I knelt down and held her body until I was certain it was just a body and nothing more. I released a torrent of grief, a tsunami of loss that I hadn't allowed myself to feel, not since I was in that hospital room, holding my mother's hand as she gasped her last breath, and that I knew I was truly alone. When I was through, I peeled myself off of her remains. I made a prayer of respect for her transition, and then I used an incendiary grenade to vaporize the body. There would be nothing for any side to recover. I watched the husk smolder, the smoke wafting into the sky.
Dhaliwal, this operate. I got your smoke.
Out from the east, a black silhouette of the hopper grew until it was nearly on top of me. Its engines blew the grass on the clearing, and the bay doors opened. I took one last look at Dr. Larbra's smoldering remains, now just ashes, and ran for the hopper. Two warriors kitted out in crisp black mech suits pulled me into the passenger bay. They had the insignia of the Quebec attachment.
My God. You look just like how I feel, specialist.
The warrior whose network read Corporal Henri Lamarck said, which prompted me to surreptitiously return my network into the lockdown mode. Lamarck and a medic helped secure me into the seat as the bay doors closed and the hopper lifted off.
Looks like you encountered some crocs on our way over.
Lamarck said, gesturing to the fire below. Just embracing what I am.
Well, that's one more fight, lizard. Yo, you wouldn't believe the shit that's been happening while you were out in the bush. The Funky Balls offense. Man, it was brutal. I guess we did have our own Y2K after all. Oh, it's officially 2000 back home. So, you know, Happy New Year.
The hopper banked around, and we headed back to Camp Toronto. It was officially called the Super New Year Offensive. the offspring of Amko, coordinated with the Sortakian Order a joint surface and system-wide assault. The insurrectionists launched every resource in the hopes of breaking the United Grey Consortium's resolve. Camp Toronto was too bogged down in the fighting to lend support to the fire bases, as the coordinated attacks were precise. Similar operations against Mexican, Somali, and Irish forces in other parts of the planet tried to liberate the planet, but they failed. By the time Riblet was eaten on Norbis, by the time of New Year's, January 2000, arrived on Earth, the offensive was over. The Human Corps volunteers took out the bulk of the insurrection, and with the newly minted human-piloted Starfleet, the Sortakians withdrew from Norbis system entirely. Eventually, the eggheads came up with a software patch to protect the consortium and networks from the emo virus. I was gazing down at Earth below from the atrium of Orbital Hub 1, a way station to transport warriors, tourists from the stakeholder worlds, and various officials to and from the planet. The hub was formerly an asteroid that had been placed in geostationary orbit, and a graphene ribbon extended from the station 35,000 kilometers down to the planet's surface. Space elevators were considered obsolete on prime worlds, but this was Earth. Most of the elevators on the ribbon were dedicated freight cars for export: rice, soybeans, piñata statues for some reason, and the most valuable one of all, coffee. At the food court, dozens of off-world stakeholders were eagerly taking their first or last sip of coffee that was brought up freshly from the elevator, not packed in stasis. They gawked at me in my uniform, the ribbons on my chest, the crest of the Human Corps volunteers above the medals next to my battalion pin. Word had spread all the way to this muddy little planet below about the resilience of human warriors, particularly the 22nd Canadian Maple Leafs of Death, who held off the overwhelmingly superior numbers of Amco fighters. While the Greys said we won the Super New Year's offensive, and I guess tactically we did, I think all of us humans had seen this movie before. We held the day, but the resistance wasn't going to let up. Regardless, beyond the planet still being a battlefield, the Norbis system had been liberated, which was of particular economic interest to the consortium. You see, the consortium had been hemmed in on the outer edges of the galaxy, which is in our neighborhood, and they had to pay a hefty toll to the Jankali to reach the greater galaxy for the last century. But with the so-called liberation of the Norbis system, the Greys now had access to the rest of the galaxy for trade once again, toll-free. So, yes, the war for the Norbis system was so that the Greys could export coffee to the rest of the galaxy. I headed to my gate, where the shuttle to Vancouver was about to board. My tour with the 22nd Battalion was complete. The university offered me a full ride in land management, while the Human Corps offered me a commission as an officer without having to go through the academy. In either case, I am alive to make that decision, because Sergeant Mackenzie taught me how to survive and led me to Dr. Larbra, who in turn challenged me to rise above my self-imposed boundaries. Larbra saw something worthy in me that I was to aspire to. Mackenzie saw something terrifying in me that I was to embrace. Two wolves were battling for my soul beyond their graves.
Mixtape Stories hopes you enjoyed this podcast. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. You can find out more about us on our website, mixtapestories.net. Mixtape Stories is considering producing the works of new authors. If you have a work of speculative fiction that might be a good fit for this podcast, click on Submissions at mixtapestories.net for more information.
The role of Sergeant Mackenzie was played by Johnny Unitas, Larbra's son by Scott, and Corporal Lamarck by Robert C., all available on Fiverr. The role of Vithras was played by Marjorie Trace Juge, and the Amco soldier by Denny Juge. In this episode, you heard Rooster by Allison Shanes and Zombie by the Cranberries.